Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Bluebees Games. It's been a while, but I'm back with something a little bit different, as you can probably tell by the objects in front of me. This is my family Wii. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually work right now. I'm pretty sure the issue is the disk drive. And I say this because when I try to use this Wii, I put in a disk and then it gives me an error that says disk cannot be read. I tried cleaning the laser lens a little bit earlier this year, and that also didn't help. So my next step is to replace the disk drive. And to be honest, with the re-release of the MySims games for the Nintendo Switch, I thought this was kind of a great time to go ahead and maybe play MySims Kingdom on the Wii if I can get this Wii to work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna follow along another YouTube tutorial I found. I'll link it in my description. And I'm gonna go ahead and try to replace the disk drive on my Wii. I've never done this before, but realistically, how hard can it be? All right, I guess let's get into it. And hopefully at the end of this, I'll have a Wii that works.
Okay, so following along with the tutorial, the first thing I'm going to do is remove the plastic faceplate from around where the GameCube controllers plug in. After that, I'm going to start unscrewing the screws. This is probably one of the parts that takes the longest amount of time and is one of the parts where you should pay the most attention. Some of these screws are tri-winged, which means instead of the typical Phillips head cross, they have a three-pronged tri-wing split. So for this repair, you're going to need both a very tiny Phillips head screwdriver and a tri-wing screwdriver. I already had a tri-wing screwdriver set and little tech repair kit from iFixit, but a lot of times as well, the disk drive that you order will come with the screwdrivers you need, as you can see here. After removing the screws from the back of the Wii, I'm going to turn it on its side and start trying to detach that front plate. And once I do so, I kind of realized that I definitely missed a screw somewhere. It wasn't popping off the way it was supposed to. I very much recommend following the tutorial almost exactly. But honestly, it's not really a huge deal if you do miss a screw. Like, I'm just going back, unscrewing this little 2032 battery holder. As you can see, some of these screws are pretty tough to get out. I don't know that they've ever been unscrewed before. So if that happens, just apply a little bit more pressure, a little bit more torque, and hopefully that should get the screw out. At this point, you're just going to continue to remove screws from the outer case of the Wii. There are some screws that are hidden by these little stickers or little foot pads. As you can see, I'm just using the little flat tool that came with the replacement disk drive to sort of pry these little stickers up and then remove the screws. When you're removing screws on the Wii, what I would do is I would have a piece of grid paper, or I would have like a sectioned compartment to put the different screws in, just so you don't mix them up. You want to organize them in some way that when you go to put them back, you know where they came from. So like I said, most of the time spent on this repair is just removing the screws, making sure you don't damage anything. So even though these default screwdrivers that came with the replacement disk drive are doing great, I would personally also invest in a screwdriver with a magnetic tip. As you can see, I'm kind of struggling here to get this screw out, and for some reason the magnetic tip isn't helping, so I just kind of had to dump it out into my hand. But so once I've fully removed all of the screws, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be good to go ahead and remove this front plate. And so what you do next is just this little connecting port. It's really easy to pop out. You could probably use your nails or a tiny screwdriver. If you have to use a little bit of force, that's okay. Don't be scared. Just try really hard not to poke any of the things around it. But if you kind of just delicately pop it out, it should be really easy to remove, and you can just go ahead and set that aside. Next, we're going to go ahead and flip the Wii on its side again, remove these rubber foot pads. One of these rubber foot pads kind of left this plastic film over the cavity with the screw in it. I just kind of poked through that with my screwdriver, and then I went ahead and removed the screws. My camera did die briefly while recording this, but you just want to make sure that all the screws on the outer case are out, including that little cavity with the 2032 battery. And once you've done that, it should be pretty easy to remove the outer case. You may have to pry it apart a little bit. Again, I try to be super delicate with repairs. It scares me when I'm dealing with sensitive technology like this, but Wii's are actually pretty durable, and especially like this Wii has only ever been opened up once before to try to clean the laser lens, and so if you need to use the slightest bit amount of extra force to remove the outer case, that's okay too. After that, it's just a matter of removing the disk drive itself from the Wii case, and there are just metal screws around the edges that you want to remove. And it's at this point that I really started to appreciate having a magnetic screwdriver, even though I did lose one of the screws inside of the old disk drive case, but it's fine. At one point I was just kind of like, I'm gonna leave it alone, I'm gonna take the disk drive out, and I'm just gonna dump the screw out into my hand, which worked fine. Once you've unscrewed the disk drive from its case, it's pretty easy to remove. There's only two cables holding this disk drive in, this white one and then this silver ribbon cable. You can disconnect the ribbon cable by flipping up the little connector. It's a little hard. I had to fiddle with it for a little while, but once you remove that, it's good to go. So now it's time to install the new disk drive. I actually got this one from Amazon. I'll link this one in my description as well. I believe it was $23. And like I said, it came with the necessary screwdrivers. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna line up the screw holes and the plugs. I'm gonna go ahead and plug the white cable in first, just because I feel like that's a little bit easier. I struggled with the silver ribbon cable. I cut out a lot of footage, several minutes of me struggling with this ribbon cable. But once you get the silver ribbon cable kind of inserted evenly into the connector, you're gonna just flip that connector right back down. And then it's basically just a matter of reversing everything you just did. Screwing the disk drive back in place, putting the outer case back on, and I'm gonna be real, I don't know what that little vent is. It came out of the case, I didn't know where to put it back, I couldn't find, whatever, I'm sure it's not that important. But once you put that outer case back on, you're gonna start screwing things in again. You're gonna start with this little battery case. Basically, you're just gonna go in the reverse order of how you unscrewed it in the first place. So I hope you were paying attention, because as you can probably tell, I wasn't entirely paying attention, and there were times when I definitely missed a screw and had to go back and real quick sneak it in. But all things considered, this is a pretty low stakes repair. As long as you're careful handling the new disk drive and you're not poking the screwdriver every which way, and you make sure to plug things in carefully, you should be able to do this repair by yourself as well. When you're finished with those screws, make sure to put the foot pad back on. You can skip most of the stickers, but the foot pad is pretty important for maintaining the balance of the Wii. After that, reattaching the faceplate should be pretty easy. You just need to plug the cord back to where you detached it previously, and then go ahead and press down on this faceplate. This might also take a little bit of pressure as well. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty badass. All you gotta do now is snap this plate back into place. There are little grooves and notches. You should just be able to fit that into place. You might have to jimmy it a little bit. Once it snaps down, there are a few more screws to put into the front plate and again into that black plastic controller port plate. But once you get these screws in, you're basically good to go on this repair. Honestly, put all together, this Wii looks really good, but now it's time to see if it works. So as you can see, I put the disc in. Here's the moment of truth. And it did actually pop up as MySims Kingdom, whereas you saw before, it wasn't able to read the disc at all. I would say this is a resounding success. So honestly, after all of that, I think I'm gonna go treat myself with some nostalgia. Maybe load up MySims Kingdom, some Just Dance. Thanks for tuning in. This was fun. See y'all later.